Hello again, everyone. So this is another SolidWorks activity, and it's based upon some kind of fluid form, creation of some fluid forms with different end conditions, different conditions that you can put on really lofts. And we're going to do it in a kind of a very simplistic form this week. It's called a light cover exercise, again from a SolidWorks manual that I have. And the very first thing that we want to do is we want to open up a sketch on the front plane. So open up a sketch in the front plane, and I'm going to ellipse, and I want to create an ellipse like this. All right, so it doesn't really matter for now because it doesn't add in any relationships that are useful yet. So I want to make this point here on the very top, so under the endpoints of my major axis really, I want that to be vertically related to my origin. So that endpoint and my origin are vertically related. So now my ellipse is kind of fixed to this position here. I can change my minor axis in size easily, and that is fine, but it's in the correct orientation at the very least. So what I want to do is I want to add in a dimension for my minor axis to be 150 millimeters. Okay, so you click on both of those points and click and say that that's 150. Then I want my major axis to be 200 millimeters. Sorry, my definition of my screen makes this difficult to select. Okay, so 200. Okay, now I'm going to exit that sketch and I'm going to open up a sketch on the right plane. And I'm going to go normal to my right plane. Click on my right plane to say that's where I want to open up my sketch. Let's see here. Right plane. Okay. And now I want to put in an arc. And I want to create a 3-point arc. So I'll go into my arcs, 3-point arc. I want to create an arc here that's coincident with this point, like that. And another point down here so that it's horizontal to this point down here. I'll have to add in some relationships anyway. I'll see if this is related properly up here. No, it's not. So I want to click on that point. Then I want to go into rotate my view and click on this point and say that they are coincident. Make those coincident and then make these 2 points here. So the other end point of my major axis and the other end point of my arc, I want to make these horizontal to one another. And now I want to smart dimension my radius of my arc to be 255. And then I want to smart dimension this end point of my arc down at the bottom to this point here to make it 90. Here we go. So that's 90 millimeters away from that. Now it's a fully defined sketch, as you can see, like the previous one. All right. So I'm going to exit that sketch. So this is what, let's say, is going to be kind of the basis for what we're going to create next. Because what we want to do is create a projected curve. And we've got our ellipse, and our projected curve will come out in line with this arc. So I want to get a isometric view here like this. And then I want to go into features, curves, project curve, and sketch on sketch. So I want to click on my ellipse and my arc. There we go. And now we've got a curve like this. So it's creating a curve like that in space. So it's curving in one dimension. So it's curving in this direction and also curving in this direction, which is not possible to draw in a 2D sketch. You can clearly see that. But combining both of these curves allows us to create this as a 3D curve. And it's well defined as well. I think it's quite applicable for some of the things that you're going to be doing for your design task too. So now we've got this projected curve here. And what I want to do is I want to start creating some sketches on this, let's say, in intersection with this projected curve. So I'm going to click on the top plane. I'm going to click sketch. And what I want to do first of all is I want to create, let's say I'll go and I'll view it in this direction. And I want to create an arc. I'll create any arc here first because I want to add in reference points that kind of define it more so. And I want to make the end point of this arc and the center point of this arc, I want to make these horizontal to one another. And I want to make this end point of my arc and this center point of my arc horizontal as well. All right, so that's now horizontal because really what I want to draw is a semicircle. And that's how I create this semicircle. I also want to join the endpoints of my arc with a straight line, which I'll do by doing this. And now I'll add in a dimension to this, and I'll say that I want my diameter of my arc to be 25. Okay. And I want to relate the center point of my arc and basically my projected curve here. I want to make it pierce. So make the center point pierce that curve. It's going to pop off the screen because I've drawn in a different part of my top plane. And it'll be, yeah, there. All right, so it's related there now. So that's good enough for me. And then I also want to create that on the other side. So I'm going to do the very same operation again. I'm going to create a 3-point arc. In actual fact, I might just select this and paste it. So I've copied and pasted this arc. So I've actually just highlighted, said Control-C, Control-V, and it's copied it out with all the existing relationships. I forgot that was an existent thing that you could do. So select it all, Control-C, Control-V. The only relationship that it will not have is the piercing of this center point with our projected curve there. So I'll select our projected curve, I'll select the center point, and I'll say I want to make it pierce. And there we go. All right, that's the first thing that I want to draw. Now, the next thing that I want to draw is I want to draw on my right plane. So I'm going to click on my right plane and click on Sketch. And the first thing that I'm going to draw is I'm going to draw in a semi-ellipse. So I'm going to draw in a partial ellipse. And I go underneath my ellipse here, and I click on partial ellipse, and I just kind of draw it out anywhere for a start. Anywhere at all. So I'm going to create anything at all just to begin with. And I'm going to make this and this point coincident. And I'm going to make this point coincident with this point here. Coincident. And I'm going to add in a dimension. Well, I'll draw in a horizontal line first. So I'll draw in this horizontal line that is basically my major axis between here and here. I'm going to smart dimension 75. Why is that creating that dimension like that? That's not what I want. Hold on. I'm going to look in at this directly like this. Okay, yeah, I can see now. I want this to be a horizontal line, so I'm going to make this horizontal. And I didn't relate it properly there, so I'm going to make that point relate to this point. Select that point, select this point, make them coincident. Okay, so yeah, now it's more stable. So I want to make this major axis 75. And I want my half my minor axis really to be 12.5. So from this point to this point, I want to be 12.5. Okay, and now I just need to make the center point of my partial ellipse and this projected curve here have a pierce relationship. Okay, so that exists there. Now I'm going to copy this and paste it. And again, only its position is not given to us, or is not, let's say, what is copied. And I just need to change some parameters around this now. I want to make this dimension 50. And I also want to take this horizontal relationship away. So I'm going to delete that horizontal relationship. And I'm going to draw in a construction line from my origin here and make it vertical. It doesn't matter the length of it as long as it's vertical, because I'm going to use it as a reference point for an angle in a second. I'm going to angle that just a little bit to indicate the direction that I want this to be angled when I add in an angular dimension. I'm going to create an angle between my major axis and this vertical construction line to be 15 degrees. And now I'm going to make the center point of this partial ellipse and this projected curve pierce. And now that's fully defined. And I'm going to exit this sketch. And that is all the construction that we need for a start on this. So that's the only construction that we do. And now we go into features, and we're going to lofted boss base. And I'm going to, in turn, click each one of these features. So I'll click this one, and I'll hit that I want it to be closed loop. Yes, select closed loop, and it is. And I'm going to hit OK on that. I'm going to click on this part of the sketch here. Yep, it's closed loop. Hit OK. Click on this one. If it'll select it for me, yeah. and closed loop. Yep. What the closed loop means is that I'm selecting the whole closed loop of the sketch, not just, for example, this curve when I click on it. And then this one. And say OK. So now we've got that going. Okay. And then I want to click on Close Loft here. And you can see that that selection alone has changed the nature of how my loft looks as it transitions from one to the other. Like here it's quite angular, quite straight. Where I'm saying that I want to close the loft, it automatically creates a smoother output like this here, much more of a smoother output to it. And I say OK to that. One of the issues that you might come across actually when you've got this like this, if I go back in here and edit feature, is if some of these connectors are on a different point like this here, so it might not show up properly. You need to have them on corresponding points of what you want to loft to what. So this to the inside, to the inside, to the inside, to the inside, not from the outside to the inside, because then it'll have to twist it and get it kind of in a, maybe an impossible geometry. So you want this connector to be going on the inside, to the inside, to the inside, and to the inside. And then when you want to close the loft, it will automatically do that on the preferences that you've created already. So we'll hit OK, and that's what we've got here. All right, there's one more operation that we want to complete here, and that's a shell. And you can see that there's technically kind of this flat surface that is lofted around here. So basically a straight line, which is lofted all the way around here and just curved like this. And I want to create a shell with this. I want to hide this projected curve there. And then I want to shell the part. So I'm going to click on this kind of straight line, even though it's like a very curved surface, obviously. But you can see that there's flatness to it. Click on this, click on shell. Then I want to shell to a thickness of 1.25. And I want to shell outward. And I want to show a preview as well. All right. So I want to show a preview, shell outward. Sorry, not shell outward. I don't want to shell outward. Usually that's selected. So click on OK. And now that has shelled inside of the geometry that I just created. If I shelled outward, then it would create a shell outside the surface here, which is not what I want. All right, and this is the part that we want. And you can see that it's quite a fluid form. It's quite a nice way to use basic geometry and a deconstruction of what geometry is involved through both the curvature of how it exists. Let's say if we were to take a different view for a second, like this here, for our elevation, elliptical type shape. And within our end elevation, you can see the arc very much so prominent here. And then within our isometric, the combination of both of those. What I want to do next maybe is change the appearance of this. So I'll click on this, right click on appearance, change the body to be maybe some kind of light yellow or gold color. My SolidWorks isn't holding up well with me recording at the same time. So maybe a light yellow gold color like this. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so that is the part for this week. Thanks.